What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 528th episode of the Pokemon Podcast. It's super effective. I am your host, Steve. With me is Greg.
I am back from my whirlwind win at Worlds, as you can see by my exclusive Worlds plush that
Trophy.
I got
Congrats.
while in London.
Congrats.
I won Unite, the TCG, and the VGC. However, there were some complications with the record, so it's not been finalized. You may have read other people, but that is not true. I am in talks with the Pokemon Company International about restoring my rightful place as top master. So update coming. But I do have my Roserade plush proving that I was at Worlds.
Got it. It's weird that Sejin Park qualified for multiple events, but they made him only pick one.
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't have the negotiation power that I do. I said I am on the #1 podcast, and I will rip you to shreds if this doesn't go through. Also, I wouldn't go. So, look, I'm the master.
The tappy.
Yeah, I tapped, I swiped, I swirled. It was awe-inspiring. To everybody who saw me there, thank you. If you missed me, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Next year.
Speaking of awe-inspiring, Will is here.
I mean, I'm not inspiring any awe, but I am starting a petition to make it so that no longer can people have wedding photos, prom photos, quinceañera photos, whatever type of fancy dress-up party that you want to have on the path that I'm trying to walk, photos in public places. If you want to have dress up fancy and have people take your picture, go someplace private and get that done. Get out of my way. I don't want to see it.
Studio with thee.
Perfect. Well, we have a Pokemon show to do, and I was not here last week. I was at the World Championships, so I guess I can talk about that experience a little bit, and we have some Pokemon news. Before we get to the World Championship stuff, just fresh on my mind, GoFest is officially over. It's done. We did all 3 in-person events. When I say we, I meant we as in the world.
Yes.
There were the 3 days. There was the first 2 days back in June, and then they did Berlin in Germany. Then they did Seattle in the United States, and then they finished the IRL stuff in Yokohama in Japan.
Wait, I thought it was Sapporo.
Oh, wait, no. Was
Yokohama is where Worlds is going.
Yeah. I'm sorry. They did GoFest in Yokohama like in 2019. Which I was reading about earlier. Sapporo. And then the last day was yesterday, August 27th. We did it. It rained, so, we can't blame Niantic for that. We could. We could.
I am. Like, they clearly have access to cast form and plenty of the sunny day moves, and they used none of them. So, I mean, hello.
I did think it was kind of strange that I got a bunch of Kyogre stickers. I don't know if you guys did, but I got a bunch of Kyogre stickers.
Yeah, I got some. Yeah.
I'm like, that's why it was raining all day.
Release the Groudon. Release the Torkoal. They all have drought.
Rain aside, I want to talk about whether or not this GoFest felt like a GoFest, because I'm going to say it didn't. But it didn't feel that way because of the rain or because of the location. And I don't want to say that it felt that way because of the spawns, because I thought that, I don't know. I thought the spawns weren't awful, but now I'm trying to remember our pros and cons from June, and June felt like an eternity ago.
Yeah.
Because I think the first day we played in the art park, correct? And then the second day we played at Como, which is a zoo. And I remember the second day being like, why is there only Nihilego to raid?
Yeah. My difficulty with it is I can't parse out if I'm just over it because I was like not enthused to do yet another Go Fest thing in the month of August. Like I was like, I'm tired of community days at this point. I'm tired of Go Fest. I'm just tired. I'm tired. Like daily incense, while great, also starts to itch at the I have to do this thing and you're eating up my time.
The 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Where I'm like, I'm getting sort of burnt on Go demanding my time, and to know that it was 8 hours and 2-hour chunks and they weren't repeating, so I had to be there for at least 6 of the hours to see everything. I will admit I went to the day already feeling over it, and the day did not turn me around on feeling over it. I was just tired. I'm just like, this is it. It felt like too much over the summer. Like it was just asking too much of me this by the time August rolled around. And isn't there going to be like 2 events in September, and I already don't want to do either.
Oh, I mean, there's Community Day.
And isn't there a classic day?
Is there a classic in September, or is the classic for October?
What I think it's September. I'm like, I'm already tired. Just thinking about it.
I mean, I agree, Greg. I think the architecture of the whole thing is what killed it, right? If they had done the habitats,
3 things in September. 3. The 3rd, the 11th, and the 18th. And I'm like, I can't with you. I can't. I can't do this. You can't.
There are some people that only play this game, and then those people would argue that there's not enough content.
They have
they're
very
thrilled.
limited aspects of their life, and I cannot assist you with that. Find other things to do.
I think what Will, you were gonna say that like they have 4 2-hour chunks instead of.
Well, they just should have
chunks.
done each habitat for an hour and then rotated them like they've done in the past. And then that way, if you miss one, it'll come back around.
Yes. Because, like, and again, I know this is like a personal problem for us, but we got rained out during Buzzwell. And I guess if if I didn't have like a $2,000 computer on my back, I probably would have just walked through the rain to my car, but I was like, I can't really leave the Caribou until the rain leaves. But during the Buzzwell hour, I missed the medal because the Caribou only had a gym. It didn't even have a Pokestop. So, I mean, spawns were okay, and the incense worked while you were sitting still, but I don't know which one Pokemon I was missing because by the time that Buzzwell was over, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't get it. Whereas at the past community days in June, Go Fest, those rotated every hour. And I think of like, it's the same argument of, you know, why isn't community day longer? What if you're working in the morning? What if you're working in the afternoon? What if you have to take your child to a baseball game from 1 to 2? Like, the repeatingness of the event made it so like, I'm going to grind out because I can't do the whole event, but I'm going to grind out the morning because my morning is free. Or like, I missed the morning, I'm going to grind out the afternoon. Or I'm going to use this hour of Buzzwell to just get lunch, and I will wait for Buzzwell to come back around in the evening. And that we literally did that first Go Fest at the art park, where I don't even remember what hour it was. It was like the ice hour. And I was like, oh, all these Pokemon are bad, and it's lunchtime. I'll just wait for the ice hour to repeat because like, this is the best time to eat lunch.
I think what I noticed when we were doing it live is we were done within the first hour, and the second hour of waiting for it to turn over felt like an eternity. Like, we were just wandering around like, let's go here. Let's wander over here. I mean, at that point, I was barely looking at the game because I had completed the challenge. I had done the allotted raids that I was going to do. I had pulled Willow out of Guzzlord's mouth and put him in a new jacket. I had done all the things, and
they did fix his face though. Like his face is different.
Yeah, because we had to do massive reconstruction after he was mauled by Guzzlord. Are you not listening to the storyline? I don't understand. The thing is, if it had also, you had to wait for each reset for the storyline to continue in. So it's
they-
like,
Oh man, that was the worst because like the second one was start an incense, and I was like, but I started an incense when I started this
Yeah.
morning, and now
Yeah,
that's
there's some
going for
people-
3 hours.
There are some people that like, before the event even starts, they turn on 8 incense to like start
Right.
the whole day, and then they have to just tack on an extra one because the quest line is like do an incense.
I think what hurt it, one, was already feeling burnt out. Like, I'll admit, I'm sure people had a great time. I was coming in slightly burnt out, but also the fact that it rotated on such a long schedule that every time we got to the second half of the 2-hour slot, I was like, there's nothing that I want to do here, and I'm just buying time to get the next quest line and the next set of things to do that I know I'm going to complete in an hour, and then I'm waiting another hour for the next thing to happen.
Yeah.
And the argument could be like, oh, at those times, that's when you go take your break because you're done. And we did, and it still felt like I'm waiting. And then you had the thing where you didn't complete your OCD medal, and it will never come back, and that's all you could talk about for the rest of the day.
Yeah, it did bum me out because like every other Go Fest, those events came back around, and like, and if you got 9, it's actually, I also found it to be more engaging or more exciting, right? Because like I remember in June, I don't even remember, it was like the grass habitat or whatever, and it was like I got 9 out of 10, and it was like, oh, I missed the Fomantis or whatever. And then when it came back around, it was like, okay, I don't care about anything else. Don't care about shinies. Don't care about raids. I want that Fomantis. That's my target as soon as the clock turns over. And it made it exciting. So to like be like, oh, I missed I missed Electrike. I guess I don't have that medal, and that sucks going into the next hour. Like,
I can't say. It's hard to pinpoint. Like, again, it's hard for me to pinpoint what made it not feel great. And I think there are minor annoyances on top of what felt to be like a long summer, where I couldn't get the enthusiasm for the second half, and the second half dragged so much that I was just like, okay, I could just go home. Like, I'm just tired. and
then when you got to the last
hour,
hour and it was like, oh, we're just going to mash everything in, and it was still like, ugh, do I have to keep doing this?
well, again, it's like weird because like the whole event, if you were a completionist or if you wanted to like like do everything, right? Even if you just wanted to do the storyline stuff, you literally had to be out for 6 hours minimum.
yeah.
Whereas I know plenty of people, and they probably don't listen to the show because we got a lot of hardcore people that listen to the show. But like when Irene did Go Fest, or our friend Alex did Go Fest, and they rarely do these events, but they do the events because they're like looking for something to do, and they're like, for $10 you guys are doing this, I'll do it. Like, cool, I'll play Pokemon Go once a month or once every weekend. They'll only, in my experience, do the 4 hours. They're like, I've experienced every habitat. I did what I needed to do. I finished the thing. I'm going home now. And that's fine. Like, they got their money's worth. And then there's like the hardcore people that want to do the whole thing, which is mostly us. But like, if you finish the event in the like after I realized I missed Buzzwole, and it was the electric hour or whatever, because Xurkitree was in raids. You jumped into Xurkitree, Greg, and I was like, I don't want to miss the collection challenge again, so I'm just going to focus on collection challenge. Literally did the whole collection challenge in 10 minutes. And then I started doing Xurkitree, and then I finished the quest line, which was like Team Rocket stuff. Finished that all in 30 minutes.
Yep.
And it's like, there's really nothing else for me to do unless I want to grind XP on Xurkitree, which I guess is like fine. It would be nice if they were shiny so I can do 2 things at once, but they're not. or shiny check. So I think about the players that are not the like, I want a million shinies, I want a million XP. Like, they're just kind of like walking around because they have to wait for the next story to kick in after like another 90 minutes. Like, honestly, this was easily the worst Go Fest, and we said like 2 months ago the like only Nihilego all day was the worst Go Fest, but like I feel like they learned so much from the 3 in-person events and like the city experience, the habitat experience, and giving an hour break and having the rotations, and then this one just felt like they planned it 6 months ago. And they didn't take anything they learned, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we forgot we could have made this like slightly better." Oh well.
Oh yeah, it was on the books.
Yeah,
on the books. We're not looking back.
No, only look forward. Never look back.
But I don't think none of the complaints had to do with the shiny rates. Shiny rates felt fine. Like
fine. My issue was
the Pokemon selection felt good. The bonuses felt great.
Most of my shinies were things that I had already gotten from Community Day. So it's just like, oh, I got another Community Day shiny.
Yeah, I needed those shiny Machops and Geodudes. Yep, thanks.
Again, I think part of the problem is for me having done all of these and having done all the Community Days, the selection felt meh. And when I got a shiny that I had literally gotten 10 from a Community Day this very year, it was also like, okay, cool, I got another one of those. And it's not so much that the shiny rate felt off. I just feel that there's usually, I think like the selection across a lot of the Go Fest, I think I said this before, feel like it's a lot of things that have always already been there. And here's a couple extras. And the extras aren't that exciting.
This is what I was trying to explain, though, in June when we had the first 2 days of Go Fest, because the narrative around that Go Fest was they nerfed the shiny rate. And I talked to Niantic twice. And other outlets also talked to Niantic. I wasn't the only one reporting this. And Niantic said the shiny rates for the 2022 Go Fest, Worldwide Go Fest, was exactly the same as the 2021 Go Fest. And then there were some people out there that was like, well, I got 30 shinies last year and I only got 14 this year. It was clearly nerfed. It's like, well, no, that's not exactly how RNG worked.
No.
And then Bobby and I went through, with the help of like the Sylph Road and other outlets, showing that there were less things that could be shiny. So earlier in June, they had the Alolan starters, and you couldn't tap on those to be shiny, right? And then the other problem they had was there was Mudkips, and there was Feels, and there was Swinubs, and those all had Community Days. So I don't doubt for a minute that they were exactly the same, but when you fill the pool up with Pokemon that can't be shiny or Pokemon that you're probably not going to tap, I normally don't tap. I don't think I tapped a single Turtwig yesterday because like I have enough Turtwig and I just don't need the candy. I don't need to check if it's shiny. If it's shiny, cool, but like I'm going to tap on other stuff. This time yesterday, everything in the pool here, Pheromosa from 10 to 12, Pikachu, Scyther, Pinsir, Sudowoodo, Hitmontop, Meditite, Anorith, Kricketot, Woobat, Carblast. Everything that 2 hours could be shiny. That's a huge difference from the June Community Day, where I think only about like 60% of the Pokemon in the hour could be shiny. And then the next one, Buzzwole, Pikachu, Machop, Geodude, Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, Magmar, Numel, Cranidos, Axew, Drillbur. I don't know why I said Axew funny. The only thing in that list that couldn't be shiny is Drillbur. So again, almost everything, and that was the theme for all of yesterday. So I don't think the problem was like shiny rates or what could or could not be shiny. But there is going to be a problem going forward because we're almost done with the Pokedex. We're almost done. Like Alola's almost done. Galler's Pokedex is pretty small. Like they're going to continue turning on shinies. So like the discussion around well, there was a lot of repeat shinies or a lot of community day shinies or a lot like there's only so many Pokemon, and
Yeah.
once Niantic turns them on, they turn them on. So like they have to do this weird mishmash of like, well, here are some community day ones, here are some rare ones, here are some new ones, but they're gonna start running out of here are the new ones.
Yeah, I mean,
Are there any unknown
is,
letters left?
Nah, I mean,
There
there's
are a
ton-
lot
yeah.
that can be shiny. Yeah.
But
No, I
I
meant
think
left.
the issue
No,
is
all the letters are available.
Okay.
Niantic has been relying on that to generate excitement, and now that that is waning, they don't have a better idea to fill it in yet.
New Pikachu's. I think, I mean, like, I think shinies are still fun to get.
They are. I mean, I was happy with all the ones that I got, but it is getting to the point of diminishing returns, right? Like the excitement of my seeing, I'm like, oh, cool, I got another Totodile. And then it's like that is a shorter lived excitement because I had a Totodile community day. And I'm
Yeah.
still happy that I got it, but the hit isn't as big as to when I got the Sandcloak Burmy, which whatever, or the Electrike, because I'm like, oh, I don't have those, and I'm not tired of collecting them through this app, and that's sort of the problem that Go has is it's always going to be exciting to get shinies, like everybody likes getting them, but you are starting to bump up against people's memories of those shinies being overwhelming in your app. So me getting a shiny randomly in Sword and Shield is going to feel very different than getting a similar thing in Go because Go is becoming the shiny factory to some extent.
Very
it's the
much.
game where you go get shinies. And so they are beginning to run into people associating shiny and shiny collecting with their game. And so that's going to start affecting people's perceptions of their tool, of what the events are like. And so you're going to have people complaining more that the core purpose of playing Go, which is at some point just becoming to collect shinies, being off. And I don't know how they are going to solve for that perception problem, but I think we are beginning to feel it. Like yesterday was fun, but also felt too long in a lot of ways, sort of exhausting. And multiple times we all kind of said, the selection of Pokemon here ain't great. We're not wowed by a lot of what we're seeing. Just, it doesn't feel great.
So now we need TPCI to implement higher shine interest rates, interest rates to
Interest rate?
to fight shinflation, shineflation.
Yeah, I had fun. I don't think it was a very strong ending. And the other thing I wanted to mention before I move on is to me it didn't really feel like a Go Fest because like I felt like there was like no build up to it. And I don't know if that was me because I was like traveling and I was like preparing for London. I was in London, I came back. I haven't even unpacked my suitcases, and then I'm setting up for this stream. But they kind of, I felt like they made a big deal for the first two, and they made a big deal going into each of the live ones. And this one was like, yeah, it's coming this week.
I think the other three being destinations and being very overwhelming and very like these are huge go-to things, that this one felt just like, oh, it's just in your, oh, it's just here. I get to go do this. And I think it just suffers from being the last piece after three very big, highly produced, highly advertised destination locations, right? Like there wasn't really anywhere to go. And it also suffers from the final destination thing was Worlds. So, like, it was just, I think run up to it was overwhelmed by everything else that's been happening this summer. And so I don't think it had any chance of really finding its own light.
Everywhere we went, people were playing, though.
Right.
Like we saw people playing every location
Everywhere.
we went to.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we did see people out and about. I guess that can transition into, there was a small Go event at Worlds where they had the Pikachu in the London, what is it called? Beef
Beefeater.
Beefeater thing.
You know what makes me mad? They had another Beefeater option.
Yeah, that
This
was
one, and it wasn't in raids. There was no Beefeater Roserade raids, which I would have actually have given them probably $50,000 to remote into those all weekend. Like, you have no idea how much money they would have actually made from me.
yeah, they had a in person, like if you were there and you spun a stop, you got like a quest line, and then if you were watching the stream, there was a code that would last for an hour that would get you a quest line, and they repeated that like once every 2 hours, and they were different codes, but all the codes ultimately, you couldn't, like, one code was enough. Not like if you redeemed 4 of them, you would have got something else. It just, you got one quest line from it. So that was like I understood why they did that, right? Like they wanted people to watch and then feel that like, oh,
Yeah.
I finally got the code.
Yeah.
And then all the spawns around that were like for competitive stuff. So anything that was doing really well competitively in Go, you could stock up on candy and do that. So I don't think that's so much of a Go thing that I want to focus on as much as a thing to do at Worlds. And they've really, like, when I was streaming Worlds or talking to people, the question came up like, I don't really care about competitive. Is it worth it for me to come out to this event? And I think the simple answer for Go players is that, like, if you like playing Pokemon Go, then yes, because everything is lured up. There's a bunch of gyms. Like, obviously, Niantic put a bunch of stops all over the place. For that, there was the exclusive T-shirt if you walked into the venue and you like swiped the Pokestop. There was the exclusive field research to get like that Pikachu shiny. So I think Worlds is doing a really good job at providing something for everyone. And this was, I don't know when they started to do that, because I went to the Worlds in, it was either 2011 or 2012. It was the first one for Black and White. And that Worlds had a last chance qualifier for both TCG and VGC, and that was all they had, right? Like, those were the only 2 games they had. And that one was in San Diego. And that the theme for that, I remember, was like Pikachu on like a skateboard. It was like graffiti style. Black and White was still new. There was a Scrafty that you could get, a Scraggy that you could get from the download code. And the Pokemon Center was probably in a room the size of this office I'm sitting in. And it's sold out the first day before 10 a.m. because the whole event was in a hotel and the Pokemon Center was in this very tiny room. People in the hotel just didn't go to sleep. They just walked down 4 floors and sat in front of the hotel room door and then waited for it to open, and then they bought everything. So that entire event, there was no Pokemon Center for me because I woke up at 10, I walked downstairs, and there was like, sorry, sold out, closed. Like, we're not stocking anything. Like, it is done for the weekend. We messed up. And then I didn't go to a Worlds for a couple years. Then I ended up going to the Nashville one. And that one had like a pretty huge Pokemon Center, honestly. And it had stuff all weekend. And that venue was really great. That was where you could play Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee early. They had unknown spawns. I don't even remember who was in raids at that time. But they had Pokemon Go specific stops, and then after that was DC, and DC had like the special Aerodactyl Relicanth research. So they've definitely made these events more and more, what's the word, inclusive?
Yeah.
But in London, not only did they have the Pokemon Go stuff, they had like a learn to play TCG area, which I talked about that like the Seattle Go Fest had. They had a huge room for that, so you could learn to play the TCG. They had the movie debut for the Arceus movie, which I think didn't DC have like a Detective Pikachu showing or something? It was like a little bit after
they
the
had a
movie
little
came out.
theater in the back.
So they had the movie showing. They had what was called the World Square, which was free to anyone. You didn't have to have a ticket, a spectator pass at all. You just had to get in line. But in there, you could get like a free bandana, pictures with Pikachu and Eevee, free boba, free cookie. There was like a coloring station. There was like a lot of things to do, and that was again completely for free. Oh, they gave you like a free tumbler, like a water jug cup. Water bottle. That's the word, water bottle. They give you a free water bottle. So yeah, a bunch of free stuff there. The Pokemon Center was the biggest it's ever been, although a lot of the items that they did a really poor job. Also, full disclosure, the Pokemon Company paid for my hotel for London. Just there was money. They paid for the hotel part of it. They did such a poor job at regulating the Pokemon Center. So you did need an appointment, ideally, to get in. Although sometimes they were just letting random people in. Sometimes you could just line up and they would let you back in. Sometimes they would be like, no one lining up. You need appointment. So that was like, there's no rhyme or reason for that. I have no clue what they were doing. But some items had they had 4 different dice boxes. And the dice box was always kind of a big thing at Worlds because they're these little metal dice. They're for damage counters, and then it comes with like a GX marker, and then it comes with a coin. And they had 4 of them this year, and it was limit 1, just 1, not one of each, just 1. So you pick 1, 2, 3, 4, and it was 1 per person. So like Irene got a separate bag just to get another one, so we would have 2 of the 4. And then, like, the skateboards were, like, limit 4, I think. And then the shirts had no limits. The jackets had no limits. I don't know if they had pins. I know they had pins because the Pokemon Company gave me a free pin set. It was, like, part of my, like, welcome package in my hotel room. But I went to, like, down there to get more pins because there was a Roserade pin. There was, like, a Pikachu and the Roserade pin. And I was like, oh, I bet Greg would want that.
I did.
They literally didn't exist. So I don't know if there was a limit on them, but if there was, they were already gone. And then we got to like the big wall of plushes where it had the Pikachu plush and the Roserade plush, and they were like stacked to the ceiling, and they said limit 5. And I was like, that seems like a lot because you would see people walk up and put 5 of each in their bag and then leave. And then lo and behold, the Roserade plush and the Pikachu plush were sold out like Friday night. They had a few on Saturday morning, but they had nothing on Sunday. And then on Sunday, the last day when I walked in, it was unlimited for the dice boxes, unlimited for the skateboards. Take as many as you want.
How much were they selling the skateboards for?
They were £200.
Yeah. Okay.
But no tax because it's built in. But also the skateboards there didn't have wheels or trucks. It was just the board.
Well, what are you going to do with the wheels and the trucks? They're not riding skateboards anyways.
Yeah, but if you're paying $250 in America, you're getting wheels and trucks.
I mean, I could get a decent skateboard for less than $250 in America.
Yeah. I think they should have been more conservative in the fact that like everything on Friday and Saturday should have been like limit 2. And then if they started to realize they had more stuff, like they clearly made way too many dice. Because there's when you walk in and they're like 1 per person, not 1 of each, 1 per person. And the last day they're just take as many as you want.
Please, we don't want to ship these back. That's the Gen Con Sunday floor specials that happen when they're like, we don't want to pay to bring these back. Please buy our games.
Gen Con
Here, do you want a free
sale.
game with our game?
But I mean, that also sucks for somebody who came out on Saturday and they were like, oh my gosh, like, I mean, they had plenty of stuff. They had a lot of stuff. It was just like, There was like a Switch case that was pretty much gone. Any pins were gone. They had a messenger bag that was gone pretty fast. The Rose Raid Pikachu plush was gone really fast.
If anybody wants to gift me that pin, though, I'll take it.
But like the things, I felt like if you could get it on PokemonCenter.com, it was pretty much there all weekend, which makes like sense because that was my rule walking in. I'm not gonna buy anything that I could just go to the website and order, and then it will be at my door by the time I get back from London.
And you don't have to figure out how you're getting it home.
Yeah. I toyed with the skateboard, but it was like I'd have to literally ship it. And at that point, like, I'd have to get a box for it because, like, I don't want to ship it in the box it came in because then I don't know. It ain't fit in the luggage. But yeah, I think they did a really good job at Worlds to make it where if you lived, I would say if you lived within 2 hours, it was probably worth coming down for the day. Because you would be able to do the World Fair, you'd be able to play Pogo, you'd be able to watch battles, you'd be able to meet people, you'd be able to go to the Pokemon Center, depending on what day. Because I think they only showed the movie one day. You'd be able to go to the TCG thing. There was like other stuff you probably could have done that I like didn't do because I was like so busy. But they've done such a good job at making that feel like a Pokemon convention versus. I am going to there to compete, and then I am going to leave when I am done. Yeah, and there were side events too. Like you could play in TCG side events or Unite side events or the video game side events. Because my friend Kid was there and he didn't qualify for Worlds, but he went like 6-1 in like a side event, and I don't know. I think they gave him like a booster box or something of cards for winning. So yeah, there are tons of things to do. I think you guys talked about the announcement of it being in Yokohama.
Yep.
Last week, and I would love to say like, hey, go on over, enjoy it, but like, Japan. Well, ideally the borders would be open by then because it was in Slack that like they're getting ready to like loosen it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's still an expensive trip, right?
It's an expensive trip.
Yeah, it is.
Also, like, save for it, but don't be surprised if next year they are like, no, we've got borders closed, because they are politically in a unique situation, and they are dealing with a unique COVID situation right now, and we have no idea what the world's going to look like in a year. So, like, block it off and maybe start saving money, but also temper your expectations about this trip, because they could easily close their borders again and say, no, we're just not letting anybody in.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
the
You don't have to worry about like,
government's not
flights or
gonna listen to-
hotels
Yeah,
anyways right now. Like,
the government's not going to listen to the Pokemon Company, so like, and the government's making
Correct.
good decisions.
I mean, some governments listen. Florida listens to Disney pretty well.
Not really.
Excuse me? Have you not
Nah.
been paying attention to the news
you
at
haven't
all?
paying attention to that one, because they're trying to take a lot of things away from Disney for going
Exactly.
against them. So, in a capitalistic society, corporations have a bit more sway, and Japan is in a unique situation right now. But, like, here's my thing. I am contemplating seriously going. Like, I'm thinking about putting money aside. I'm thinking about, like, I've got my passport. I could make this trip happen, but I'm also not counting on it because I don't know what's going to happen in a year.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, it's funny because I was on the Silph Road and they posted about the Korea. There's going to be a safari zone in South Korea, like an hour south of Seoul. I can't remember the city name, but like there was a handful of comments of people being like, I'm so sick of Niantic doing, like, why can't all these events be worldwide? And I'm thinking to myself, like, have these people like never heard of like concerts or festivals or like like these like big events that you have to travel for, right? Like Gamescom is exclusive to Germany, right? Like Lollapalooza is exclusive to Chicago. Like
Well, now it is.
WrestleMania is exclusive to whatever city they decide to pick, right? Like Niantic did not event the
But
event per city. Also, and the cities get something from it, right? Like the cities fight for these events because they want to bring in the tourism. And so I'm like reading these comments and I'm like, man, why are people so salty about like these like in-person events? Because like, yeah, they could make them worldwide, but there's still so much value for the city and for the company and for the people. Also,
to be fair, people also complain about things being locked in destination things. People have complained about Lollapalooza being where it is. People complain about artists not coming to their city on tours. This is not just a only happens to this. People complain about things not coming to their cities all the time of all these other things. You just don't care about it.
yes. But also, also, if you're traveling to Korea for Pokemon Go, which is another complaint of like who would spend, $2,000 to go play Pokemon Go in Korea.
Will.
Right here,
Will
me,
would.
this dude
Will
right
would
here.
do it.
Like you're going to do other things, right? Like it is a vacation. Like I have a friend that goes to every WrestleMania and it costs $2,000. He doesn't go watch wrestling and come home. He like goes and he explores the city and he has other things booked, and like WrestleMania are these 2 days. He does something before, something after, meets up with like I think that people complaining maybe have just never gone on a vacation before.
I mean, valid. It's hard to vacation these days. I haven't been on a vacation in 4 years.
Yeah, but like if you were already thinking about going to Japan, and if you wanted to go to a Worlds, ideally now's your chance to try to pair those two together and be like, well, I was planning to go to Japan for a week. Worlds is 3 to 4 days. I'll get there a little early. I'll explore Yokohama, or I don't know, start in Tokyo or something. Like I'll go in Tokyo. I'll be in Tokyo for a couple of days. I'll go down to Yokohama. I'll be in Yokohama for Worlds. After that, I'll go to Kyoto. Like you could make a trip out of it, ideally. And you don't even have to go to Worlds all 4 days if you're not competing. Like I think in the London experience, maybe 2 days of the 4 days would have been like you could do everything. Yeah. Realistically, I don't think you could have done everything in London in a day, but I think you could get it all done in 2 days. So exciting, yes. Unknown, it right now it's in a country that has their borders closed, and they've been closed for a long time. And There was already a Pokemon event, Sapporo, that a lot of people wanted to go to. I had money set aside for it, but I couldn't go. The borders were closed. So I guess my expectations are that, right? Like I would love to go to Worlds again. I would love to go back to Japan. I thought Sapporo was going to be. I thought everything was going to be fine by Sapporo, and it wasn't, and that sucked. But I think there will always be more Pokemon events.
That is true.
Yep.
All right, let's take a break. We have some more Pokemon news. There was a Mini Cooper. There was a movie. There's some.
There's
Legos.
some Masters excitement happening right now.
There are some Masters.
Oh boy, oh boy.
We will be right back. And we are back from our break.
No, we don't do that. That's not. It's changed now, and now you are back.
Yeah,
I am back from the break.
No.
Some quick news here. Pokemon the movie Secrets of the Jungle comes to iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon. This movie was exclusively on Netflix, but now you can either purchase it or rent it digitally. I thought that movie was pretty good.
It is decent. It's enjoyable.
It has a heck of a twist at the end.
Little riff on Tarzan there.
There was an event in Germany, I believe it was, Mini, the car company Mini,
Yeah.
I think is owned by BMW.
It's managed by BMW. I'm
Yeah,
not going to
Mini
make any
Coopers.
hard stakes about ownership.
There was a new mini concept Ace Man, which had a Pokemon mode, and it was this cross collaboration where they took the Ace Man is the type of Mini Cooper, where they decked it out in Pokemon stuff, and then they put it in a giant like toy packaging thing.
So they used a lot of plastic.
Correct.
It's fantastic.
And that there was like the Pikachu decals on it. It was cool. It's like kind of hard to explain in the video. This is just a marketing gimmick. They're not like selling this car.
No, they are not.
But it was like, oh yeah, you know, Mini Cooper Pokemon. That happened. That was a thing. It was at Gamescom, by the way. Yeah. That was a thing they did. You know, it reminds me of the well, gosh, what was it? What was it called? It was the very expensive bags that they did.
Not Birkins.
No, it was a Pokemon Go collaboration where the like little purse was like $700. It was that French company. I couldn't say.
Yeah.
I was thinking you were still talking about cars,
Oh, no.
and I'm like, what are you? What?
The
Bags and
difference
cars.
is the purse was a reality. The car is not.
The car is a concept. The purse is $700 worth of bag.
Yeah. Aren't all cars concepts at this point? They all just exist until they actually show up at a deal.
I mean, I am holding out hope that the VW bus, the new VW bus, becomes a reality because I want one real bad.
There is a Shelby being sold in Bloomington right now that's just waiting for me to get $150,000 together.
Oh heck yeah, we can do that in a weekend. Let's put on
Y'all
a
ain't
show.
riding in my Shelby. No, not unless you put on some sort of hazmat plastic. No.
What? How dare?
Sorry. You can get in the Mariner. Enjoy that.
I have been in your car. To say that we should have to wear a hazmat in
For a
what will be a
Shelby?
disaster area.
For a Shelby? Yeah. That Shelby's gonna be pristine. I'm passing that down to my children.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I saw a Rivian for the first time yesterday.
Oh what?
IRL. It's driving down the road.
It's the electric truck.
Oh, that ugly thing.
I like square vehicles.
We know you like your boxes.
I do. This is off Pokemon.com. Get moving with Mattel's Mega Pokemon Motion Pikachu building set. Watch Pikachu come to life with Mattel's new Mega Pokemon Motion Pikachu building set. Assemble this highly detailed model of the popular electric-type Pokemon. However, that's only half the fun. Turn the hand-activated crank on the side of the model's base to see Pikachu animate with an authentic running motion. The Pokemon's little legs and feet charge forward, and its tail springs, and its head bobs. There are 1,095 bricks and pieces in this set, and the finished Pikachu measures 9 inches long. It is a fun build. It's the nature of the mechanics that provide a bit of a challenge. The set is recommended for ages 12 and up, so younger Pokemon fans might need some help assembling it.
I got to keep track of 1,094 pieces.
Is that a lot?
one will be
I don't know.
That's it's more than 10. Yes, it's a lot. For
I don't
like a
follow-
Lego looking thing.
I don't follow Lego culture. I don't know what's a lot and what's not a lot. Like
I
when
think
when
you know what number culture is 1,000 of anything is a lot.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
you know
but
what
like-
numbers are. It's not like it's 4 pieces of head, body, and legs. It's 1,000 separate pieces.
Yeah, but you know how they have like the Death Star at like Mall of America, and it's like,
That's like 1,000,000 pieces.
is
And
it? I don't know how many pieces it is. I just know it's like $800 or something for that.
And the problem with this one is if you get one of the mechanical pieces in the wrong place, Pikachu's got a limp.
It's true.
It's not going to run right.
Very true.
Oh, and if anybody wonders why I said 1,094 and not the full 1,095, one of the pieces is a nameplate that can either say Pikachu or have the Japanese letters. You pick. So you can lose one of them and you're still okay.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Are people out here buying Mega Black still?
Yes.
People are buying a lot.
I mean, people put together those, like you get in the robot suit and then fly around and fight battles in the robot. What is that song?
Gundam?
Called? Gundams.
Okay, this one leg
People love them Gundams.
Death Star listing is 3,803 pieces.
How much is the Death Star?
Well, this one, because it's discontinued, that I'm looking at is $1,000.
Oh, ooh.
I'm
Sword
looking,
and
okay, here is a $800 Imperial Star Destroyer,
Okay.
and it is 4,784 pieces.
No.
And how
I'm
much
out.
was that?
After taxes, everything is be close to $800.
Okay, so 1,000-piece Pikachu is pretty complex.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Lost Origin comes out on September 9th, features 190 cards. I have a YouTube video up on the channel of me opening Lost Origins provided by the Pokemon Company. If you want to see the secret room I was in when I opened it, that video is on YouTube now. I don't think we're going to spend a lot of time on explaining some of these cards. The whole set comes out, like I said, September 9th. And
is the card that I want in it?
The card you want, the Roselia is in the set, yes. The English version.
We're buying a case, Greg.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting back into Pokemon TCG.
All right. I'll take them. If you have any of them, I'll take them.
So yeah, that set comes out soon, and then there will be one more Sword and Shield set for November. I can't remember what the name was. They announced the name. There's a Vulpix on it. Hold on, I can look it up literally right now.
It's like Silver Linings.
Yeah,
Vulpix is Wild Adventures.
No, it's like Silver Linings.
Silver Tempest is the last
That was close.
Sword and Shield set. And then after Silver Tempest is out, then we should move into the Scarlet and Violet sets for the TCG. So, and I believe Silver Tempest comes out November something. I think a week before the games come out.
November 11th.
Yeah, that sounds right.
No, I just read it. It doesn't sound right. It is right.
It is right.
November
So
It
11th.
doesn't sound right. It is the correct date.
Let's talk about Pokemon Masters.
Okay.
So our final pairs are Ash and Pikachu, Cynthia and Lucario, and then Red and Pikachu.
Signasuit Red and Pikachu. Thank you.
Signasuit Red and Pikachu. These are not bait. These are the final three, right?
These are not bait. These are the final 3. Ash is here. I started my Ash pulls with 36,000 gems today. I have Ash.
And
You have
I
no
also
gems
have
left?
0 gems, I'm
I
assuming.
have 0 gems left. It was, look, I got a lot of, I can't be bad because I got a lot of 5 stars. I finally got Alistair and Gengar. I got a lot of things, but I was like, I don't really want Red and Pikachu, and I'm okay with Cynthia and Lucario have extras. But yeah, I burned through literally all my gems to get Ash.
Isn't Karina in the game? Doesn't Karina have Mega Lucario? Am I misremembering?
Yes. They are in the game. And
Okay, so before anyone goes like, well, Charizard's in the game like 4 times. Yeah, that's true. Leon has a Gigantamax Charizard, and Red has Mega Charizard, and then your character can have a Charizard. But Cynthia and Karina both have Mega Lucario now. There's no, I'm sure there's differences in the attacks, but
yeah, I mean they do different things. But like, yeah, I mean they exist, and they're both existing at the same time. So you could potentially have a 2 Lucario team.
I mean, you can have a 3 Charizard team too.
You can, and I've done that.
Will, is there a single character that Masters could add to bring you back?
Nope. I hate the gameplay. I absolutely hate the gameplay
I mean, that's
of Masters.
You don't have to play the game though. I don't actually play the game
makes
part.
it even worse. Okay.
No. Because it's like the TCG. You can just collect the cards in the TCG. You don't actually have to play the game part of it.
That is, I don't enjoy collecting the cards in the TCG. I just.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
The storyline for Ash is. Here's the thing: Masters does do fun, not particularly deep, but fun and cute storylines. So Ash being back and running around Paizo is charming.
Passio, please.
Passio.
Oh, Ash is a 1% pull. He's not a 2%.
In a 1%, but look.
So
it's
he is a
tough.
master sync pair.
Yep.
Which is the same as Archie and Maxie.
We have been
Yep.
saying since May, save your gems for the
Yes.
3rd anniversary. Don't get distracted by all
I
of these
told you
tricks.
everybody was
I got distracted by Archie though. I wanted that Kyogre.
Yeah, you are a meme.
Yeah.
You are a meme.
I tried to warn you.
Are there any other Master Sync pairs, or is Ash the 3rd one? Maxie, Archie. Wasn't there like a Steven that was a master?
Yeah, I think there's a Steven that's a master. Isn't Cyrus a master?
Oh, I think yes.
I don't know. There's been a number of them.
So
But
wait,
yeah,
is Cynthia and Red gonna be Master Sync pairs then?
probably. I haven't really looked too deeply into the
I mean,
into
they're
like the I cannot think of the word. People like doing research into them.
the data mine.
The data, not the data mine, but like now that they're here, like people have done research into find out like what they do and how different they are and what they're considered. But like the website says, it's 3 new Master Sync pairs, so it looks like
Oh yeah, they
Ash,
have to be
Cynthia,
1%.
and Signasuit Red are all Master Sync pairs. They also changed up. They've added people to the BP list. So there's new pairs you can get through battle points or whatever BP stands for in this game. I forget. So they've added more. They've added Nida and Landorus. So if people don't know who that is, you need to look her up. She's from the Battle Maison.
Will, they added something called the Trainer Lounge.
I heard. We
Lodge.
talked about that last week.
And you can form deep friendships with your favorite trainers.
No, thank
Is
you.
that not?
Nope. Because you still have to play the game to get the rewards to put in the lounge.
No, the lounge is really its own separate weird.
Yeah, it's
thing.
like its own separate
It's
currency.
it's a weird little thing they've added to this game, and I don't hate it. I
That's
don't
a good way
know
of
if I
describing
like it. It added. What this game didn't need is more items that make no sense, and they said, "How about we add like 20 new items that only work in here and also make no sense?"
Yeah, I don't know if this is another issue that I had with emblems in Unite, where I'm like, emblems are dumb, and then I like took 45 minutes and I was like, I'm just gonna figure this out, and then I figured it out, and I was like, okay, now I like them because I put the work in. It kind of sucked that I had to put the work in because I can imagine other people would be like, this is too complicated. And then once I understood how they worked, I was like, okay, these are really cool. I'm curious if Masters is that way in some instances where there's so many items and I'm just like, I could look this up and figure it out, but like I get in, I do my polls, I have a great time, I leave, it's fine.
The issue with the items in the lodge is all the items that happen in the lodge seem to only affect things in the lodge, and the only reason that you're doing the lodge is to get the certificates that allow you to raise certain pairs past the current limit of 140. So if you want to go up to the new limit of 150, but only on the select pairs that are allowed in the lodge, you have to play this separate lodge game to get the items that are slightly confusing to be able to affect the main game. And I barely have things at 140. So this is really one of those situations where if you are heavily invested in Masters and you're like, I got to get these sync pairs to 150 so that I have the best pairs to do the hardest stuff, then you are spending a lot of time in the lodge and probably have it figured out. As a person that's like, all right, I'll talk to you and we'll have a conversation for a while, and then I'm going to send you out to a volcano to look for stuff. And then you're going to bring me back stuff, and I'm like, okay, what do I do with this stuff that you found at the volcano? I don't understand.
It's weird because so like I have like an agreement, a contract, whatever you want to call it with DNA, right? A partnership is probably the right words, right? Like, so when I work with specific companies, I'll have to sign like paperwork or contracts, right? Like specifically for GoFest with Niantic, I had to sign a specific contract where they wanted me to like tweet twice about GoFest and use these hashtags and like talk about it on the podcast and stuff like that, right? Like that was like a very specific contract. With DNA, you know, they approached me and they were like, hey, we're trying to put, you know, some content creators together for Masters, and you know, the Pokemon company actually recommended you. And you've already worked with Niantic and stuff, so the vetting process for that was like pretty seamless. For the record, I do have like a 1-page contract with Nintendo, pretty much being like they'll send me like Pokemon games every now and then in agreement that I wouldn't like play emulators or like show people how to like hack, right? Like that's like the one thing they care about the most is like they don't like emulation at all. They don't like randomizers. They don't like any of that stuff. I don't have any paperwork with the Pokemon company itself. Like when they sent me out to Worlds, I didn't even sign anything for that. They were just like, we have a hotel for you in your name. If you come, you just say your name and the hotel room is yours. Like there was no paperwork or anything. When they send me like TCG cards, the only thing I have to say is like, I agreed to the embargo, you know, can't open or talk about these cards until a certain day. With Masters though, they one of the things that they said was, hey, if you make YouTube content, the Pokemon company doesn't like the word waifu, and the Pokemon company doesn't like the word like husbano. You know, these are just like Japanese words for like, you know, wifey or whatnot, right? It's very,
let's say dubiously Japanese words. They're
dubiously
used.
Japanese. Very dubious.
and you know, the main reason for that, right, is because they don't want their characters to come across as like dateable, I guess is probably the most PG way I can say that.
I mean,
which is like totally fair, right? Like
they don't want them to be sexualized. That is still a PG way of saying that.
Sure.
They don't want them to be sexualized.
Which is totally fair, right? Like if they're giving you free gems or they're giving you free merchandise, they don't want you to make content where it's like pushing boundaries on like their own IP. So anytime I like open up master polls on Twitch, I'm like, hey chat, you know, this is going on YouTube. DNA is probably going to look at it and they might reshare it, they might retweet it, but like if you go out of your way to be like, oh my gosh, Cynthia is so attractive, it's like, that's not great. Like save it for after. Or just don't say it at all, right? Like, keep your fantasies to yourself. But now with this trainer lounge thing, sorry, that was like a long-winded explanation to get back to this trainer lounge. Like, that is what it is, though. Like, yeah, the terminology is like forming deep friendships, but you're like, you're actively, to me, like flirting with them.
That is to you. I'm having a pleasant conversation with Cynthia the champion, who I admire and think has a great fighting and battle spirit. You, however, are a pervert.
So this is pulled from other games, right?
I have N in mind, and not once has N asked me out to go to a Ferris wheel.
That
so it is
not yet.
Completely platonic.
What do you think happens,
point.
Greg, when you get him to like level 10? He's probably going to ask you finally for that Ferris wheel trip.
I mean, the answer is yes.
Okay. But this mechanic, I believe, or this mechanic, the concept of the quote-unquote trainer lounge, I'm air quoting for the podcast, is something that's like pulled from the game I think of as Fire Emblem. Where they have like, you can mingle with your, I don't know what they're called in Fire Emblem, your army, your
troops,
your characters, and I think Genshin Impact has something similar to this. I haven't played Genshin, so I'm not 100% sure. But like the trainer lounge isn't unique to Masters. Other games have done something similar to that, but also like going back to Fire Emblem. Like that is the thing that people really like about those. People really like Fire Emblem characters.
Yes, that's why there's so many of them in Smash Brothers.
Yep.
True. Yeah, I'm with Greg. I don't hate it, but I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the problem that you're running into is it uses a similar interface and actions that you find on many dating simulation video games.
Correct.
So if you were to play a game such as Dream Daddy, you will have very similar interactions as you're finding in the Trainer's Lounge.
So my experience with these interactions or these questions that they ask is you ever been to like
No.
a site on the internet?
Don't lie. Yes, you have.
Have you ever been like perusing the internet and you get like these ads for like these dating games, and you're like, who is playing these dating games? My wife.
Your wife is. I know who is.
My wife is this for
Yes.
years. I'm seeing ads for these very out there dating games. Some maybe even scandalous, and I'm like, who's clicking these links? Who's playing these games? My wife is. She loves dating simulators. Absolutely loves them. She loves the story and like falling in love and who's dating who. It's like the 2020 version of those romance novels that.
You mean romance novels that still exist?
Yeah, they still exist
and make millions. They make bank.
But like when I watch her, like when she's like playing, there's a lot of these on the Switch, by the way. There's a lot of these dating simulators on the Switch, and when she's like playing it in the background, and I'm like looking up, it is ultimately like the Trainer Lounge is a very simplified version of that, of like,
very simplified. Except for the items, that there's a ton of them. I'm like, what is going on? Why do I have?
Why are we in a volcano right now?
Why do I have 4 different oddly colored Triforces? What is going on?
I'm glad Masters is experimenting.
Oh yeah.
Because I think I've always gotten the feeling that they tried very heavily to make a unique battle. This is my opinion. I don't they didn't tell me their opinion, but like watching Masters grow and working with DNA, again, my opinion. It seems like at the start they tried so hard to like get people into the battle system and to understand the battle system and to appreciate the battle system. And now it feels like they are just doubling down based on the surveys that we all took. Remember, they like listened to us. That we took all these surveys, and the thing on the surveys that won was like more characters, more seasonals, more collectibles. And ever since that survey, it felt like cut the co-op. No one's using it. It's too complicated. Let's not worry about the battle system so much. Let's just worry about collecting and new characters and all that stuff. And now, because I feel that there are probably a huge amount of players in Masters that care about the collecting aspect, I am one of those players. I don't actually like do the battle stuff. I just like collecting. And I know there are a bunch of people that like the battle stuff. That's fine. Totally cool. But it seems like they're like, okay, we've gotten all these people to collect and to spend gems. How can we get them to want to spend and collect more? Because the battling itself isn't doing it.
Yeah.
And it feels like the trainer lounge is the foundation to try to like get those people to want to do something with their collection, which is like totally cool and totally fair. But it's kind of, I feel like there's been this slow shift away from the very focused battle mechanic that they led with now to this collecting aspect of the game.
They've come a long way from, hey, we're sorry we built a bad game. Which is where we were when this whole
I don't
thing
think
started.
the battling stuff is bad. I just think it's overly complicated. And if you like that, that is awesome. And I see I see the challenge of like, okay, you have to activate this and then do this and then wait till this and then like put the thing to sleep with hypnosis and then do that. Like I like when I watch people do it and I'm like, wow, that's really cool. No, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did a very good thing by building the Victory Road part that teaches you, like, this is what we mean by doing all these things. And I think, like, ultimately they also understood, like, people just, like, people want these characters to mean something. And this is what I realized why I'm enjoying Masters more than anything. It's what I've always wanted the main games to do with these gym leaders, right? I want to know them. I want to see their storylines. I want to see their personalities. I want them to be much more than I walked into your gym, I stomped you out of existence, and I left. And Masters takes these characters that I have lived within these games and gives them personality and a story and something for me to make them memorable. I remember more gym leaders now and Elite Four members after playing Masters than I ever did from the main series games. And that is its main credit, I think.
Yeah. Speaking of a bunch of items, I know you guys went over this last week. Although I know that the three of you aren't exactly the most competitive people.
True.
So I just wanted to give my input on the new items they announced in battles. And I think we even got like a comment of like, oh, I wish there was more insight on these items. Although I don't have the full list here. I thought I had
to
the
give full insight because we don't know exactly how they're working. I'm gonna say like we can guess, but like we don't. There's always something like, oh, they are excluding X or Y. Like, we are still guessing exactly how they're going to work.
Yeah, now I feel like
because like
there was like
is,
6 new items, and I'm on Scarlet and Violet, and I'm only seeing
They
three of
They
them.
didn't announce 6 new items. They only announced 3.
Oh, I thought I saw 6 somewhere.
The herb, the cloak,
dice.
The dice.
dice.
Is that
So
the...
like the questions like I had people ask me like, okay, do you think covert cloak will stop the confusion from things like swagger? Maybe. Probably. I don't know for sure.
Does swagger do damage?
No, because
No.
swagger
so,
is
so no, right? It's
But it's like
secondary effects.
it's secondary effects. So is raising their attack secondary effect also causes confusion? I don't know how they're going to do that. Like, I don't have that answer because we don't know yet. So we are guessing as to how they work. And yeah, it would be very cool if like the swagger confusion part didn't happen. because it's considered a secondary effect, but they may not consider that a secondary effect. I don't know.
Correct. Where was it where they had like pictures of the items?
It's on
They
the
have it
Scarlet
on the
and Violet
website under.
No, I'm there. There's
gameplay?
no like little pictures of like the covert cloak looked like something. No, there is another item. That's what I'm saying. Like on the website, there's an item where like a Pokemon cannot take damage if they have like a certain amount of HP that they didn't show in the trailer, but they put on the website.
No, the covert cloak is the one that was not in the trailer, but is on the website.
No, they show covert cloak in the trailer because they have the screenshots in the trailer, didn't they?
No,
It's not in the trailer.
it is not in the trailer.
But there's an item that prevents damage.
The covert, well, the secondary effects. I don't know.
No. It's like HP based. And now I can't find it.
I
Oh my
think you've
gosh.
imagined something that does
Am
not exist.
I don't remember. Like, so I'm on. I went and like Kotaku has Mirror Herb, Covert Cloak, and Loaded Dice, which we all talked about. Those are the three. I don't know where this HP thing is that you.
Am I? Is this like,
did you go to a
is this like a
different
card I
dimension?
opened in Lost Origin that I just like merged in and thought it was
Probably.
Pokemon.co.japan.
Mirror Herb, Covert Cloak, Loaded Dice.
Are you thinking of the ability that lets him drop his tail?
Now the Japanese website only has the 3 either. No, I'm not thinking of the ability that has the tail. Okay, so Mirror Herb, this herb allows the holder to mirror an opponent's stat increase and boost its own stats, but only once. So there's an item in the game that became very popular near the end of competitive, and you probably saw it if you watched the World Championships. And that item was called White Herb. And white herb became more and more used throughout the Series 12, I think we're on. And it was rarely, I shouldn't say rarely. No, I will say rarely. It was like rarely used in earlier seasons just because there was different items. But white herb prevented stat reductions. So because of the amount of Incineroars that existed, like Incineroar would come out, it would intimidate you. You would be -1. And then you wouldn't be able to do enough damage to knock out whatever is next to Incineroar or Incineroar themselves. So you would see White Herb exist on Pokemon like Ice Rider Calyrex or Groudon. And I actually think some of the Groudons that made it to the like top 4 were all running White Herbs. So I think Mirror Herb would see a lot of play if we see like a Swords Dance Dragon Dance meta, which was a very popular meta. It's actually how I qualified for Players Cup 2. Is I used Indeedee to follow me, and then I used Dragapult, and I would just Dragon Dance. And if I was in a situation where I was able to Dragon Dance, I would be in a pretty good spot to then start to sweep. So that's the only like real situation I would see Mirror Herb in, because I feel like this would make more sense in a Dynamax format where the holder is to mirror an opponent's stat increase and boost its own stat. Well, the thing about Dynamax Pokemon is you are boosting your own stats, whether that's like through Max Airstream or Max Knuckle. But I don't think we're getting... doesn't look like Terrestrializing does that. So then the only other moves you have to like think about would be like Swords Dance, Dragon Dance, Coil would be another one. Belly Drum?
Yeah.
Because that's what they show in the trailer.
So I don't know if Mirror Herb sees a lot of play unless the meta leans into like...
So, did you listen to us last week?
I did not get to that part of the show.
So here's the thing that we brought up, and maybe you can set. So, one, do we think that like a Snorlax could get this herb back through Recycle?
No.
Because can you not get the herb back through the thing?
You only get berries back.
Because
We had
recycle
that
says
discussion.
items.
This isn't harvest.
This
it's
isn't
recycle.
harvest. This is recycle.
Well, typing recycle into Google without the word Pokemon gets you local recycling plants.
Yeah.
Although you're wasting a move.
Recycle allows a user to regain a hailed item, such as a berry, that the user has consumed in battle. Recycle has failed if the user already has a held item. Consumed items are not forgotten, even if the Pokemon is switched out. Recycle cannot restore items that were transferred to a different Pokemon via thief or an item knocked off, or items that were knocked off, but can recover items consumed by Bug Bite, Fling, Natural Gift, and Pluck. Recycle can recover items consumed that were originally another's Pokemon but was transferred to that Pokemon during battle. However, a Pokemon may only consume one item at a time. If a Pokemon consumes an item, then obtains another and consumes it, the original item cannot be restored. Even if the second item is restored and transferred to another Pokemon, this is the most complicated move ever.
Yes.
If the Pokemon that knows recycle obtains an item after consuming one, it can still recycle to restore its old item, as long as it has no item when using recycle and did not consume another item once consuming the old item. Once an item is restored, it is no longer treated as a consumed item, so it cannot be restored again until it's consumed again. In Generation 5, it says recycle can no longer restore via Bug Bite and Pluck. Recycle cannot restore a bursted air balloon, an item destroyed by Incinerate, or another item picked up by a Pokemon via pickup. If powered up by I forgot
Normalium Z?
Normalium
Z moves were
Z.
so poorly named. If it's powered up by Normalium Z into Z Recycle, the user speed will increase by 2 stages. Then the move itself will fail after obtaining the Z move because it's not possible to restore its own Z crystal. Recycle can restore a user's berry if it was consumed by tea time. What is tea time?
A move. It's the signature move of Poltegeist. Nobody uses it as like
Clearly.
it causes all Pokemon on the field to eat the
So
hidden berries.
would
or whatever.
Snorlax be able to recycle this?
Yeah.
I would say yes, based on that.
And then the other question that we had that you can is
But like,
let's say on both sides of the field, both Pokemon use a stat increasing move. It will probably be random which one it picks, or will it be speed based?
it would be speed based because that's how it, so like let's just say your Snorlax has a Mirror Herb, and then what's in front of you is a Dragapult and a Garchomp. And the Dragapult uses Dragon Dance. The Mirror Herb would then activate, and then the Garchomp would Swords Dance. So I don't think it would be. There's no way it'd be random. It would be like through speed tiers. I mean, I don't think you would see Mirror Herb on a Snorlax, because you're still better off with like a citrus berry or whatever berry that Snorlax particularly runs, because you want to then belly drum and then activate your berry to get your health back.
Yeah, but if you have a mental herb and somebody across the way belly drums, then
Mirror
hey,
herb.
you
Mirror
have
herb,
it,
not
and
mental
then you
herb.
recycle it and say belly drum again, and you got it again.
You would get that mental herb on like Mimikyu. Yeah, I don't think Mirror Herb is like this S tier item. I don't think it's at the same level as like a Life Orb or an Assault Vest or a Focus Sash, or those are probably the top 3 items I would probably say. Covert Cloak is probably an S tier item,
That's
which
what
is
we said.
This cloak conceals the holder, protecting it against additional effects of moves. And the one that they showed was Fake Out. So you would still take the damage of the Fake Out, you just wouldn't be flinched. And I'm assuming what you guys said last week, because I didn't get to that part of the episode, is like, does this work on like Swagger? Does this work on Scald? Does this work on Dynamic Punch? Does this work on like Thunderbolt? In like, you can't be like, I think Thunderbolt has like a 10% chance of paralyzing you. And I would assume yes. Like I would assume that like it would prevent the burn from Scald, but you can still be scalded. You can still be Thunderbolted, but you can't get the 10% burn. But if the move is specifically like
Will-O-Wisp,
yeah, you can't.
Right.
That is not the secondary effect.
Right. So, like, the question that I think that people got into the weeds again are, like Swagger, the main thing is you increase their attack. The secondary effect is they become confused, potentially. So I think there's just a lot of questions we can't exactly answer until the item is here.
Yeah, so a good example of how that would work without this item existing would be like Mudsdale. Mudsdale's ability is it like Oblivious or something? Where a very popular thing in Series 3 was that Mudsdale would be alongside a Grimmsnarl, and Grimmsnarl's Prankster ability would allow it to use non-damaging attacks first. So Grimmsnarl would use Swagger on Mudsdale, give Mudsdale a +2, but because Mudsdale's ability prevents confusion, it would just be a +2 priority. Sorry, it was own tempo.
Mm-hmm. My suspicion is it's anything that is affected by sheer force ability would also be Covert Cloak. So sheer force is any damaging move that has a secondary effect. The power is increased, but the secondary effect doesn't go off.
So if you're worried about being burned, you would probably so being burned is a pretty terrible thing to happen to you competitively.
I mean, it's
right?
a pretty terrible thing to happen ever.
Yeah, it's just being burned is bad.
So if you're burned, your damage attack is halved. Which in a Dynamax format, if you Dynamax to
Isn't it just your physical attack that's halved?
It's your physical yeah.
Attack,
so
yes.
if you Dynamax and then your attack is halved, it almost feels like you're this huge sitting duck.
Although they are free to and very may well change all of that in Scarlet and Violet. We do not know.
Yeah, we don't know if Frostbite from Legends is coming over.
Mm-hmm.
I also felt like instead of reducing attack, being on fire should have reduced your accuracy because you're flailing around trying to put those flames out.
No, it's your ouchie, like a sunburn. Not your
yeah, but
on
you take
fire.
damage from it every time. You are clearly on fire.
Yeah. So, like, Lumberry on Landorus was very popular because you didn't want your Landorus to be burned. So if you Dynamax to max Airstream to get the speed advantage, the way to counter that was like, yeah, you have the speed, but now you're burned. And so they would run Lumberry to then heal the burn, so then they can continue their sweep because now their attack is back to 100%, and they can continue doing what they were doing. So, like, Covert Cloak isn't going to replace that, right? Because it's not going to prevent against Will-O-Wisp. But I suppose you could be scalded, and then like, I don't want to get burned from the scald. But like, Scald is a 30%. So I think Lumberry is still really good in that situation, not this item. This item seems specifically very good for fake out. Of like, I need to Dragon Dance, or I need to do something, or I need to Swords Dance, and I can't be faked out. And even if you don't need to like, or I need to set up Tailwind. That's like another thing. Like I don't want to be faked out, but I need to set up Tailwind. Probably Tailwind is the better example. I need to set up Tailwind. I can't be faked out. I don't have any way to prevent fake out. That is why Max Airstream was so good and probably the best Max move, because when you're Dynamaxed, you can't be faked out. So if you're in a situation where like fake out is very popular, and I'll never forget when we were in DC and they showed how like Dynamax Pokemon can't be faked out, like the entire room like cheered, because fake out is incredibly obnoxious and annoying and very disruptive. And that's why Incineroar and Rillaboom were some of these dominant Pokemon, because, you know, you fake out and then you switch them out and then you bring them back in and you can fake out again, and fake out pressure is very, very real. But if you're sitting against you know, a Dragapult and a Regieleki, only one of those Pokemon can be faked out. The other one cannot. And so if that one Pokemon that you could fake out has this item, all of a sudden you are now facing two incredibly fast Pokemon, and you cannot do anything to slow down even one of them, which would be the Eleki, because you can't fake out Dragonite. So yeah, I think that item will be incredibly popular and probably the best out of the three here. But I don't know the situation which is going to be like best, because we know that Grimmsnarl is going to be in the game, and like you could easily fake out a Grimmsnarl, and you probably would want to if you don't want it to set up screens. But like, is that item best on Grimmsnarl? Is it that big of a deal they fake out your Grimmsnarl? Like, versus I want a different item on Grimmsnarl, which would be better. So I don't know if that's like, the best item for that Pokemon, but I think that that's probably the strongest item they showed. The last item was what was it called? It was like
Loaded Dice.
Loaded dice.
Yeah.
I think this is probably the worst item. And I think this item feels more for single play, whereas like the Pokemon I think of the Pokemon I thought of when they first showed this item was like Cloyster, because Cloyster has like a very specific gimmick where it does what is it? It's not like Fury Swipe.
It's Skill Link, so it does.
Yeah,
it has a bunch of multi-hit moves.
Yeah,
Icicle Spear. Is
the
Ice
one
Ball the one
Pokemon
that's also like Rock Blast but ice?
There's the one Pokemon I could think of maybe having loaded dice would be Zarina, because Zarina runs what's it called? It's like called like triple ice skates or whatever, where it gets it if the first one hits does like 20 damage, the second one that hits does 40, and then the third one that hits does 80 or something like that. And if you hit all three, it's a ton of damage, but there's like a possibility where you like miss, and then you don't even get the opportunity to do the other two. Gosh, what is that move called?
It's not Trop Kick.
No, not Drop Kick.
Is it Triple Axle?
Triple Axle. Yeah, there it is. Triple Ice Skates. Yeah, I can't think of like a really Triple Axle is probably the one move I can think of. I can't think of another move that's like rapid, like want to hit multiple times. But there was some items that were introduced in Sword and Shield that saw little to no competitive play, and the one that came to mind is Room Service.
Yeah.
Whereas like if Trick Room got activated, then Room Service would kick in, and Room Service would then lower your speed by one stage, which is not nearly enough. I think if Room Service lowered your speed by 2 to 3 stages, it would actually be pretty usable. But like I don't. That was the one item from Sword and Shield that I was like, oh, literally. Like people thought it was interesting when it was initially announced, but then it really didn't see any play. I thought there was a fourth item, but my mind is still in London, I guess.
If there is, I don't know where it is. So
Yeah, they just showed the ability that allows you to shed the tail, and then they showed the move that does when you terrastalize, the move changes its type to match your Terrasta type.
Did we
blast.
think that this what is this? What is Cyclezar?
Cyclezar?
Yeah,
Do we think that this is related to the legends?
absolutely.
I mean,
Can I remind you of Love Disc and Alola Mola?
It's a cousin, at least.
Yeah, I mean, you can. They came from different games, not in the same game. Love Disc and Alola Mola were introduced in separate games, same like Boufflant and Tauros. Different games. These are in the exact same game, showing you doing the exact same thing, riding them on their back. Like, they are putting out the breadcrumbs.
What about Carbink and Diancie? They were the same game.
And they are related.
One was listed as a legendary.
Yeah, exactly.
And was a hidden legendary. It wasn't
wait,
announced.
Carbink and Diancie are related.
And they are related.
They are related, but they do not evolve into each other.
But no, that is not the question you asked.
Sorry, my mistake. My question is, do we think that the little lizard, the cycle lizard, is going to evolve into these legends?
I do.
Because again, Carbink and Diancie, they are related per Pokedex lore, right?
Yes.
That we know for sure. They were both introduced in Generation 6. Carbink is just a Pokemon that is there, and like also part of the lore is like Sableye likes to eat Carbink, which I think is great. And then Diancie is this mythical Pokemon that just looks like a big Carbink, but they do not evolve into each other. So like, do I think that the dragon with a wheel on his chest happens to look like the legendaries with wheels on their chests? Yes. But I don't want to jump to the conclusion that like, oh, he has to evolve into that.
I mean, just put your backbone on the line. What's the worst? People are going to come and say, oh, you were wrong. I was wrong about a million things. I have stated my case. I think one of the storylines is evolving your little cycle into a big old legendary.
We're going to find out.
I stated it, and I
Is this
stand behind it.
Is this going to be like everyone in this world has these lizards,
Yeah.
but yours is the special one?
Yeah.
They said that it's a very common household Pokemon to have.
Yeah. You do the research to go backwards or forwards in time and to find its evolved form, and you bring back the Super Time Rock.
I think
it transforms.
I don't think the storyline is like you need to evolve yours into the legendary if that's what we're thinking, because it looks like you get the legendary very early on. That would be a very short story.
Or you evolve yours into legendary very early on
through one of the storylines.
The first storyline's done in like 30 minutes because you need to get a bike.
Or the first trailer was being misleading.
Do we think that there's a middle stage, or is just this lizard go right to whatever?
A middle stage feels very nebby to me.
Yeah, but I mean, they've done it once. Why not do it again? Cosmog, Cosmoem.
Yeah, but Cosmoem could actually literally be erased. It's kind of a bad Pokemon.
There's a lot of bad Pokemon in the world. We don't just wish for their erasure.
You're going to say Cosmoem should be erased? You're going to leave Magnemite around?
No, yeah, Magnemite's fine. No, Cosmog could just go into Lunala or Solgaleo. Like, Cosmoem just kind of exists.
Or it could just be the nice Pokemon that it is.
Okay, so Cyclezar is Dragon Normal. This is the first Dragon Normal Pokemon. Because Grandpa is normal dragon.
need to chill. You need to chill.
Oh, the difference. Oh, the difference is so huge. Oh, I can't even stand it. Oh, you caught us.
That would be on a bar. That would be on a bar quiz, 1,000,000%.
If that's at a bar quiz and they get uppity about it, leave that bar quiz because they are pedantic.
If they were like, name the dragon normal Pokemon, and people all wrote down Drampa, it'd be like, nah, Drampa's normal dragon.
Yeah, I would be like, okay, we're out. Drinks are on you because we are all leaving without paying this check.
Okay, so if Cyclezar is dragon normal, is that then confirming that Miraidon and Koraidon are then dragon?
No.
Only if they're related, but also not necessarily.
I mean,
Also,
I
apparently
will stand behind saying yes. Like, I think they are dragon / something, but that doesn't mean I'm right.
They certainly look like dragons.
They do look like dragons. There's this not popular Pokemon. I think his name is Charizard. Also looks like a dragon.
Who? I've never heard of Charizard.
Oh yeah. He's pretty new.
Also, I think there's a couple of dragon type leaders that you need to talk to them about their use of Charizard. Then,
Cyclezar shares the category with Skidoo and Gogoat. They're all known as the Mount Pokemon.
also,
So does that
I would like
confirm that we get to ride Gogoat?
Yeah.
Wait,
And
what
it
is this
becomes a
region called?
legendary.
Paldea?
Paldea.
Not to be confused with Passio.
I would also like to take us back to our conversation about technically at the bar, and technically Mega Charizard X is dragon, so therefore Charizard is a dragon and looks like a dragon. So if you're going to get all me about your normal dragon type, I'm going to come back to your little trivia quiz and be like, okay, if your example is Charizard can be a dragon. So there.
How do we run a trivia night at a bar and have the most obscure questions to make Pokemon fans angry?
Easy. We open up a bar.
Okay.
We say trivia night Friday, Pokemon themed, and they will flock to our doors.
Correct.
All we need to do is come up with the most Poindexter bits of trivia. How many Pokemon does Ash actually evolve?
Yeah, that's a good one.
No. Technically, Charizard evolves itself. He didn't want that to happen.
There would have to be something out there in there that Pokemon the movie 3, there's not actually an Entei in that movie because it's just an illusion created by the unknown. It's not actually an Entei.
And another one has to be, what are the 3 legendary dogs?
Zacian, Zamazenta, Eternatus. My favorite dog.
Eternatus is not a dog.
Dude,
It's Zacian, Zamazenta, Bolton.
I wish I was smart enough / had enough time /
You could leave
had
it right there.
Yeah, this is true. Podcast over. I don't know. I don't even know if I had the time and energy and the editing skills on YouTube, and maybe this already exists, but do you remember the amount of rumors that happened before every Pokemon game? Like when I was in Japan and you guys were hosting the show and you guys talked about armored Pokemon for Sword and Shield.
Oh,
and
yeah. Vaguely. Like, do I remember us having that conversation? No. Did we probably have that conversation? Sure.
Yeah.
We were looking at the clouds on the region and like what's at the north and what's at the south. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I remember like the CMYK conversation of like how like Zamazenta is magenta and Zacian is cyan, and that means there must be a third dog, and the third dog must be like yellow because that never happened, right?
It did. Because Boltund is yellow, the third legendary dog. Do not argue this point with me because I have an answer.
So I think that would be like, for me, that would be a fun YouTube video to watch, and I don't think it exists, but I would love to watch a video of like all of these theories that like had, you know, a lot of basis off of it, but then none of them came to fruition when the games actually came out. Same with like Lily supposed to be like Nihilego, and then that didn't actually happen, and then like, remember how like
What?
people were pairing the characters of Sun and Moon with Ultra Beast, and they were like, "Oh, these two have to do it," but they really didn't have anything to do with it. It
I
just
mean, they did.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
I mean, like,
her mom was dressing
her
her,
mom
as Nihilego.
Was dressing her as Nihilego because she was obsessed.
right, but like they weren't like there were like theories of anyways.
Like if you're looking for a website of the many theories people have gotten wrong about Pokemon, it is a never-ending series because there are always things people say.
Correct. That's why I'm like, people are so confident that Cyclezar is going to evolve, but also people
I'm
were
not.
so confident that there was going to be a third dog. Not Bolton.
You can argue that point. You're wrong because Boltund exists and Boltund's the best dog. Here's the thing. It is, and I've always said this, it is fun to come up with theories,
It is.
but do not build your expectation and hype around your favorite theory coming true.
No, I don't want the theory video to exist to prove people wrong. I think it's just a fun video to be like, "Oh yeah, remember when we all talked about that?"
I know you too well. You want it to show people. I've been in your Twitch chat. You'd be like, I'm pointing you to go to minute 42 of my 18-hour opus about how wrong you are.
No, I think that's a fun, like, I wish I remembered all the theories before X and Y, but we're getting to a point where I don't really remember them that well.
No. I mean, somebody out there who
And
has
I kind of wish they were documented in some sense.
somebody out there can go through all the backlog and make a wiki. And then we'll base off the wiki. So do a bunch of work for free, and we'll benefit from it. Capitalism.
One last question before we finish this show, because we got to do our last two segments. How was your guys' experience watching this trailer and watching Worlds in general from home versus not being there? Like, did it feel eventful even though you weren't there?
I watched the trailer.
What, I agree. That is my statement as well. I did not watch Worlds at all. None percent.
I didn't-
Did not turn to that
I
Twitch.
didn't watch Worlds.
Their
Greg,
codes.
you didn't watch those Unite matches?
He
No.
was in them. He was winning them.
I was winning.
yeah.
I was crushing and making people's dreams end.
Their limited time availability codes did not entice me. I didn't even bother.
Is it
to...
because serious question, Will, was it because of time zone stuff?
No, I don't watch Twitch.
It was
And
on YouTube as well.
I mean, some of it was time zones, right? Like stuff that happened during the day for them. I was either asleep or at work. Like 7:00 then, when the day was over, was 2:00 in the afternoon here, and I'm solidly in work. But also, like, there is a part of me that wants to go back and like sit down and actually analyze what happens in the Unite matches to like understand people's choices. But another part of me also understands that unless I have 4 other people that are doing the same thing, ultimately those don't serve me, because when you are doing solo or duo queue, you are developing a separate set of skills than a coordinated team does.
Yeah.
So ultimately, watching those Unite matches to see what a team of 5 does is great, but only if I have a team of 5, because that's the only way that those skills transfer.
I think there's a little bit of that where like I was watching a Cramorant player, and the way they were moving was very different from the way I move. and I would be curious to watch that player more because it made me think about like I've never thought about like navigating the map this way. I've
Yeah.
never thought about like positioning right here. So I think there is some self-improvement if you can find a person that plays your favorite character and they play it in a way where you
Right.
can be like, oh, I can probably do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not to say that there aren't skill transfers, right? But, I mean, I will also say this. I don't enjoy watching competitive sports. I don't enjoy watching a lot of spectator things where it's somebody else doing a lot of skills.
Oh, I couldn't look away from the Unite stuff.
And it doesn't draw me in, right? Like, I still watch, like, we watch reality TV night, right? Like, we do things like Project Runway and we do things, but a lot of it is just to see what the finished garment looks like, not the process of getting there. So I am not a person that finds a lot of enjoyment in watching spectator events. It's not for me. So no, it didn't really ever occur to me to tune in other than I thought, well, Steve's on and I know it's important to have good numbers. So I'm going to put it on the background while I do work or whatever else I'm doing so that it's registering. Like, you were the draw there, not the event for me.
I one of the things that bummed me out the most about Worlds was I was so busy I couldn't like just stop and like watch the matches, and I couldn't sit in that theater and like feel that energy that like it's almost like the same energy you would get for like going to a concert or being at like
definitely,
a,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
you know, like I'm not a sports person at all, but I've been to like baseball games because I've gotten free tickets to baseball games, and it's like, why would we not go? Like, let's just go and hang out, and once we get bored, we can leave. It was free. Like, it's something to do. But like, even though I'm not into baseball, I can feel the energy of other people getting excited when something happens in baseball, which is very rare. But when something exciting happens, you feel it. And it sucked. Like, part of me was like, I love watching these announcements and like this stuff with my audience on Twitch, and like they're very funny. They make me laugh. I try to make them laugh. Like, that is an experience that like only happens with live content. And then, but like, part of me is like, I'm literally in the room above the stadium where everyone else is sitting, and they're like seeing it live, and I could literally walk downstairs and be in that, but then I can't do this. It's like Irene sat down in that audience, and she was like, it was incredible, like watching those matches and like hearing the crowd like cheer when like something happened, and like I just think of watching competitive stuff, like watching the final matches of the VGC was really exhilarating and exciting, and like they still have so much work to do with the TCG, because the TCG is very like, I don't know, it almost feels like golf. Like no one's really erupting in cheers when things happen, and it's really kind of hard to follow because you never really see their full hand. There's a lot of shuffling, and like the cards are really tiny. Where like when you're watching like two Dynamax Pokemon, it's like very, even if you don't know anything about Pokemon, you're like, oh well, that was a huge water type move. That was like a psychic type move. That was like you can kind of grasp it. But with like TCG, you're like, I'm not really sure what's going on. Like, why? What card was that? Like, but then with Unite in Pokken, Pokken, I think again anyone can watch and see like the two Pokemon on screen, they're fighting each other. There's health bars at the top. I get it. And then like Unite was just also exhilarating in the sense of like a team sport of like watching 5 units move across the map and score goals and stuff. And it was a bummer that I didn't get to like watch that in person. I do want to go back and watch the Unite matches and stuff. But I think that is one advantage that Unite has, is like I feel like you don't need to know anything about Unite, but you still understand that like flow of how the match is going. Like I like for a long time, like I never understood football. I just knew like once the team gets to the other end, they score points. Like I didn't understand about first downs or like safeties or like why they would do certain plays. And you slowly develop those skills like watching football. and I think the same for Unite. But yeah, I don't see Unite going anywhere as a staple of these world tournaments.
I mean, I will say this, like, I have been to baseball games. I enjoy being a part of the crowd. Like, that energy is infectious. Like, if I was at Worlds, I would have been like, yeah, I loved being in the crowd. But if it was me and there was nobody around me and they're like, we're going to give you a private room to come watch these matches, I'd be like, Can anybody else come in with me? Because I want to talk to them about it. I'm not... These things up here don't interest me. Like, I've been to baseball games. I don't care what's happening down there that much. I care what's the excitement around me more than anything else.
Okay, let's do one quick question of the week and then Pokemon of the week, and we'll get out of here.
What is the question of the week? Sheesh.
No.
I knew that'd
mad.
get you.
I'm
knew that would
canceling
get
question
ya.
of the week.
Cancel.
I'm canceling it. This is Robert from our YouTube. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, like, comment your question of the week, hit the little bell button, all that stuff. Robert says, do you have any Pokemon memories that turned out to be a Mandela effect? For example, for some reason, I remember seeing an episode of Ash catching a Tauros as a kid, even though it never aired in the U.S. Well, apparently, I thought there was a fourth item that was shown. That didn't happen.
You just had that. I mean, here's the thing. There are things that I remember that I carry with me that don't apply. So it's kind of that way. Like, I still am in the... Because you needed to be in a Pokemon Center to transfer into Gale of Darkness and stuff, I still have it in my head that to save my game, I have to go to a Pokemon Center. So whenever I'm playing a game, I have, even though that doesn't apply anymore, it's not a thing anymore, I still have to go to a Pokemon Center and put myself in it, and then I feel like I can save the game and shut it off.
No, see, that just reminds me of where, like, the bug in X and Y, where if you saved was it in a Pokemon Center or was it outside of Pokemon?
Outside in Lumio City.
Yeah, in Lumio City.
It would crash.
There was a small chance it would crash.
Right. I also say, like, 4 years because the power-up moves didn't work properly in Gen 1. It took me until Gen 5 to finally believe that Sword Dance worked.
Here's the thing. I thought this throughout various battles in Sword and Shield that bug type was weak to ice. And I don't know where I don't know where I got that from, but anytime I saw like a bug, I'm like, oh yeah, I can just ice beam this, and then it will be super effective. And then it never was.
Never
and
was.
I was like,
it even says it in the thing now.
But yeah, bug is not weak to ice, but I always thought it was. There was also that thing. Well, that was just like that was Game Freak's fault, where when you fight Brock. And you're like, oh, electric type attacks don't work. I also, as a kid, I thought like, oh, I can't use electric type moves on rock Pokemon. But because Brock is the rock and ground, I didn't like put 2 and 2 together until like Gen 4 or something like that. But for some reason, I always thought that like bug was weak to ice, but it's not. And then I was like, maybe in Gen 1 it was weak to ice, but no, I don't think it was. Maybe it was.
I don't think it was. Maybe it was. There's a lot of things that I remember that it took me a long time to unlearn.
Anything for you, Will?
I can't think of anything. No. Kind of just take the games as they are.
Pokemon of the week.
All right. Last week's Pokemon was pretty short. This Pokemon, who probably was not named for Don Diego Vega, will at various times not take damage from Psychic type or Normal type, Ghost type, and Fighting type moves. At various times, it will take double damage from Fighting type, Bug type, and Fairy type or Dark type moves. You can or cannot tell just from looking at it. So easy.
It's
I don't know. It's Chatot.
It's Skaroopy.
No, you got to get it right, Steve. You got to get it right.
I don't know what it is.
It's
Oh,
more
come
the
on!
first time I heard the
Here,
trivia.
let me repeat the last question, the last
Okay.
sentence. You can or cannot tell just from looking at it
Cannot tell what.
whether it's going to take damage from the different types of moves. What Pokemon is able to disguise itself?
It's Zoroark.
And it's either Dark type or normal Ghost. So
It's
it either-
Hisuian Zoroark.
That's no. One Pokedex number, one Pokemon.
One
It's
Pokemon.
Zorua.
This is the problem with these forms. It's making everything worse.
And it is not Zorua because Don Diego Vega was Zorro.
Arc.
No, well, I mean, yes, but
There's only one Zoro on the arc. That's why.
Wait, is it Zoroark?
Yeah.
it is Zoroark.
Oh boy. Off the rails. I ruined everything with the sheesh.
Yeah, you really threw me off. Really hard to recover from that. No other Pokemon have the same type combination as Hisuian Zoroark and its pre-evolution Hisuian Zorua. Hisuian Zoroark and Zorua are the only Pokemon immune to both their types. Zoroark was first revealed by Masuda as a silhouette in February 7th, 2010, in the edition of Pokemon Sunday. Its full image was revealed March of 2010 in an issue of Cora Cora alongside its pre-evolution Zorua.
That was so long ago. How is that possible?
Due to its debut before Generation 5 in Zoroark Masters Evolution, it can be seen parallels to Lucario, which debuted in Lucario and the Mystery of Mew prior to its release of Generation 4. Unlike Lucario, however, Zoroark was revealed at the same time as its pre-evolution form.
And unlike Lucario, they've never pushed it as hard as they did Lucario.
Yeah.
I mean, it did have its own whole movie, so
Though evolving from Zorua at level 30, pre-release information from Cora Cora suggested it would evolve from Zorua by a method different from known evolution methods. What method it might have been is still, if it was true, is still unknown. They're just saying that like there was supposed to be maybe a gimmick, and that gimmick never happened. Zoroark and its pre-evolution Zorua are the only non-mythical Pokemon to have an event exclusive for a time prior to the release of Pokemon Black 2 and White 2. That was, wasn't that like where you had to show an NPC like Celebi?
no. You had to take the 3 legendary beasts to a certain forest in Black and White, and when they were there, they would run off, and then you'd get Zoroark.
Was there somebody in
Because the movie was about Zoroark imitating the legendary beasts.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you would get the legendary beast through that GameStop distribution, right?
Yeah, right before. It
Right
was
before
like
the
right
movie.
before
Yeah.
the Black and White came out.
All right. Well, yeah, there's a little bit more trivia, but it's not as exciting as what I read.
All right, this week's Pokemon. As many friends of Dorothy know, this Pokemon has the potential to be received from a Pokemon professor in 8 different Pokemon games. While we do not know if it will appear in Scarlet and Violet, we do know that competitively it doesn't care about the covert cloak at all. Its hidden ability adds 30% power to moves that would have an additional effect, but in itself removes all the additional effects. That was hard to say.
All right. we will be back next week. There was a bunch of news we didn't get to, actually, in regards to like the development of Arceus and some different typings available in Scarlet and Violet. We'll get there next week. I just wanted to get through GoFest and London, and I just want to talk about those items again and that cycles are. So hopefully you enjoyed the episode. It was a little bit of a long one today. So again, if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. It really helps out, especially as we lead up to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts and you want to help out that way, you can like leave a review. That's like super, super helpful. Reviews are really helpful. If you are listening to Apple Podcasts and you want ad-free versions of the episodes or bonus episodes, you can subscribe. If you're on the fence about subscribing to Apple Podcasts, you do get a 2-week free trial that you can listen to all the old bonus episodes in that 2 weeks and see if you like it. Otherwise, Will is at Washing the Sink. Greg is at White Wing. I am at Dragging a Lake. You can follow the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, PKMNcast. But thank you for listening. Otherwise, this has been another episode of the Pokemon Podcast, and we are
Super effective.
Super sheesh.